Ordinary young people, average grades, stable families. And suddenly, blood splattered across the headlines. They seemed invisible, but they left a trail too loud to ignore. What shapes a mind that crumbles into hatred? It's not a new question. But maybe we've been looking in the wrong place. The answer doesn't start with forensic evidence. It starts before the first tear falls, long before the blood is spilled. And what few realize is that the signs may already be hidden in everyday life. Would you recognize them? In the United States, mass shootings have become a regular part of the news cycle. According to the Gun Violence Archive, there were over 600 mass shootings in 2023 alone, an all-time record. The country accounts for 73% of global school massacres over the past 2 decades. The debate about guns is predictable. The profiles of the perpetrators are endlessly analyzed. But what we're about to uncover, you may have never heard before. A silent force, shaping criminal minds beneath the surface. After each tragic event, investigators turn to the shooter's home life. And the initial stories sound hauntingly familiar. He seemed normal. The family was exemplary. Relatives say it. Neighbors repeat it. The media amplifies it. As if normalcy could only be seen from the outside. As if what truly destroys could never be shielded by silence. It's in this ambiguous territory, between what appears normal and what decays unseen, that psychology identifies the Dark Tetrad. 4 personality traits that, when combined, reveal a cold, manipulative, indifferent, and often cruel profile. It might seem like we're describing a killer, but we're not necessarily. The dark impulse can be a reaction to what's already coded into the blood. A silent kind of suffering that awakens the cruelty lying dormant within. So let's shift the focus away from the murderer, because to understand the extremes, maybe we need to look not just at the monsters, but at the world that silently shapes them, at ourselves, at what we tolerate, at the truths we ignore, and most importantly, what these patterns reveal about our society. According to modern psychology, the Dark Tetrad consists of 4 traits: narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and sadism. With the help of neuroscience, we now have deeper insight into these long-standing pillars of criminology. Studies suggest Dark Tetrad traits exist in about 5% to 10% of the adult global population. Meaning, we're not talking about rare monsters. We're talking about everyday people. People who teach, influence, and shape children's emotional worlds every single day. It's easy to imagine we're only talking about broken families and obvious dysfunction. But what if the danger hides precisely where everything seems too perfect? Is it possible to recognize potential carriers of the Dark Tetrad? Research published in Personality and Individual Differences shows a collection of destructive behaviors tied to these traits, including one that's disturbingly normalized: passive-aggressive behavior. This isn't just rudeness. It's disguised aggression, sarcasm, emotional manipulation, veiled exclusion, all used to hurt others without direct confrontation. They don't explode, they seep. And that's what makes them so dangerous. If these silent traits can be warning signs of something darker, why do we still treat them as harmless? And what does all this have to do with the criminal mind? It may seem obvious, but it's not. We're about to dig deeper, not just to talk about bullying, but to expose the emotional terrain where violent minds are truly forged. If you've ever endured a toxic, passive-aggressive relationship, at work, in romance, in friendships, you know how it corrodes your well-being, even if you're emotionally strong. Now imagine these same patterns inside the home, lived by a child still building their sense of identity. Yes, it happens, and it's more common than you think. Dysfunctional traits don't vanish when someone becomes a parent. Those who wound with sarcasm outside the home often inflict far crueler damage behind closed doors. If you think this is just about blaming parents, maybe you're only seeing the surface reflection. The truth goes deeper, into places few are willing to look. Scientific studies show that Dark Tetrad traits are estimated to be 40% to 60% heritable. But this isn't a life sentence, it's a lens. As criminologists often say, biology loads the gun, but the environment pulls the trigger. Investigators can collect fingerprints, bullet casings, gunpowder residue, but they can't collect resentment. They can't lift contempt off the walls. They can't dust for humiliation, loneliness, or emotional starvation. Family trauma is well documented, but what's rarely discussed is how normal-looking societies silently fuel the Dark Tetrad cycle. The tragedy hurts us, but ignorance feeds it. This violence doesn't need screams. It infiltrates everyday life quietly, eating away at self-esteem until victims doubt their worth or their sanity. Believe it, many children grow up behind pristine walls, beneath curtains that hide more than just sunlight. They hear words carefully chosen, words that cut without ever sounding cruel. And the most sinister part, society believes in the facade of normalcy, because there were no screams, because there was no blood. While everything seems normal, a child watches, absorbs, learns. Children don't understand everything, but they feel everything. And what they feel shapes everything. What they believe love is, what they believe they deserve, and what they may one day repeat or rebel against. The 2019 Protecting America's Schools report by the U.S. Secret Service was clear. 100% of school shooters studied had experienced traumatic events, emotional neglect, psychological abuse, or devastating loss. The pain was there, just invisible. Fragile bonds, absent affection, silent tensions. Sometimes both parents are locked in a cold war. Sometimes one caregiver is present, and the bond with the other is severed not by death, but by narrative. And the child grows up on unstable ground. The home, meant to protect, becomes an emotional minefield. These young people slip by unnoticed. Good grades, normal appearance, quiet demeanor. Until one day, genetic inheritance collides with emotional neglect. The pain becomes rage. The rage finds a weapon. If all this feels abstract, think of it this way. The passive-aggressive behavior you encounter daily is like a hairline crack in a flawless wall. Subtle, but deep. And for many children, it's the only outward sign that something inside their home is collapsing. We must pay attention, because people with these traits are all around us. If someone's sarcasm wounds you today, imagine what it does to someone who never had a voice and who lives with it every single day. Observation is only the beginning. If this message resonated with you, if it made you reflect on what hides behind closed doors, please subscribe to our channel. Here we talk about what many prefer to ignore. And maybe there's still time. Time to listen. Time to change course. Time to protect those who haven't yet cried out, before silence becomes a death sentence for many.